All right, let's head on over to the Georgia Bulldogs, where I love when the Cover 3 podcast gets the setup and then the payoff, because one of the things that Bud had mentioned last week heading into the spring games was where are those disruptors up front, right? Like all we've heard is that the offensive line is doing well. All we've heard is that the offense is, beating up on the defense. And in that G-Day game, it looked like some of those more experienced guys who've been in the program for a little bit had a little bit of pride and decided that they wanted to make themselves known. So I think that was definitely an encouraging thing to take away. If you're Georgia, where also defensively, I think we don't have any answers in the secondary. We still have a lot of pieces, got to figure out how they all work together. Bud, what sort of stood out from the notebook for you?
I think I got this on Dogs 247, either that or on their podcast. Try to remember where I got this from. Dogs 247 does a great job. But I know I read that Carson Beck said that basically, like, the defense knew exactly what was coming because of, like, all they ran was their really vanilla stuff.
Oh, they would show out, and even though they had the answers to the test.
Which is notable because the insider reports are that Georgia's offense has smoked their defense in the two close scrimmages. So, like, this was definitely much more defensive heavy than I anticipated. Dom Lovett, second year in the system, looks a lot more comfortable to me. They got Colby Young from Miami to be a big-bodied X on the outside. And guess what? He lost a guy. And apparently in practice, that's been their, like, go-to contested catch guy, which is great for them to have. And they still have a lot of other nice weapons, but probably the early favorite to win the Joe Moore Award, I would think, this offensive line. So, and Beck looks solid. I mean,
yeah, a little bit shaky.
Should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't his best day, but I thought that the wide receivers in general looked deep. I mean, you can get down to the fourth or fifth guy. When you were talking earlier about a big program, might end up seeing somebody get let loose. I have no idea if that would happen at Georgia, but Georgia appears to have enough wide receivers that one of those 35 to 70 outside the Super 2 teams, if you get Georgia's fourth wide receiver, that guy could be a starter for you.
Right.
So I'll be keeping an eye on that, because Carson Beck plus loaded wide receiver room and offensive line that is ready to mow people down. That's an offense that's going to be really, really hard to stop this fall.
The other note is Urasek doesn't get there from Stanford, the tight end, until the summer. So, like, I don't know if he's going to start or Delp's going to start, or it's going to be some kind of mix thereof. But we don't really know because he's not there yet.
I mean, we've seen a lot of Georgia Bulldogs football with 12 personnel out there.
Yeah.
So wouldn't be surprised if the two of them. Tom, Danny, anything Georgia related stand out from the weekend?
I've got a lot of Georgia fans mad at me, so I just want to say that Georgia's great and they're going to win the national title.
I think the running back room is deep. I wonder who's going to be, there's been a lot of Trevor Etienne talk. He's had obviously an interesting offseason with some of the off the field stuff he's dealing with, but I don't think it's an issue for them at all. As far as the defense dominating, I mean, this is a lot like bowl season. Who wants it more? Like spring game. And if you've been told, or all you've been hearing about is the offensive pieces and how good the offense is and how much the defense has to fix, you're going to come out with a chip on your shoulder. I mean, it's already been well documented how they do that as a team. I guarantee you some of those guys in the defensive meeting rooms have been pointing that out, saying, let's go show out.
Yes. Hey, but look, glad to know that dog's in them. All right. I'm glad you've got that competitive fire. That's what you need to build a championship team. So even if we might need to, sort of slow our reaction to seeing that defensive dominance, I would still be encouraged by them taking that personally. All right, Alabama. So Nick Saban was in the house. Good decision, bad decision to have Saban in the house.
I mean, who has the choice? No one except Saban.
That's
I mean,
true.
If I'm DeBoer, I'm kind of like, man, maybe
that's what I was like.
Wait a little bit.
Really
a little breathing room. I mean, he's got his own office there. I mean, I'm sure he's fine with it. He would never say anything, but I'm sure there's a piece of him that's like, really?
because he talked, he spoke at the Denny Chimes, like for like the team walk, and man, okay, all right. Remind us all about how you're not the guy who won 6 national championships in a 12-year run. By the time we finally got on the field, what do we think from Alabama? Defense?
I thought Milroe was better than his stat line.
Ooh, I didn't actually look at the stat line, but I saw a bunch of good deep passes.
Well, he was 3 of 9 for like 92, and one of those was a 52-yarder. So it's hard to defend 3 of 9. But like after digging into some of what Kalen DeBoer did at Sioux Falls and at Eastern when he was there, I think this is going to work with Milroe. He's actually had a quarterback be his leading rusher or second leading rusher like 3 times in the last 15 or so years. So if he's got a guy who really can run, including like a 250-yard performance in a championship game. So he's not a guy that is just all pass. I think they'll feature Milroe's legs quite a bit. And I know Florida State's really happy with Roydell Williams, the back they got from Alabama. And that probably says something, too, about the level of player that was beating him out at Alabama. Because, like,
Jam Miller.
Those 2 young guys are studs. It's going to be a good run game there.
Yeah. Defense needs some help.
Yeah. They lost so much in the secondary.
Maybe they should hire Saban to be the defensive coordinator.
But they need pieces, right? Like they're not going to talk Caleb Downs into doing a Caden Proctor. All right. Right?
No.
Right?
No.
They need to find some quality secondary pieces. If there are any quality secondary pieces that can play at Alabama in the transfer portal, then Alabama needs to be in the sweepstakes for those, because this is that is a group that they were able to hold together a lot of their recruiting class, right?
Yeah.
Which means that there are talented players who they could throw into the fire. But I just think that playing Alabama's schedule, those young, talented players are going to end up, getting cooked a little bit if that's the case.
Austin Mack ran 4th team.
Yeah, I was disappointed.
4th team?
In that.
Yeah,
he
didn't
play much.
Is that because are they trying to like make sure the other 2 guys don't transfer out? Like, are they playing depth chart games here? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like if you run me 4th team, and I've been on this roster for a little while, I'm transferring out. Like Ja'Cory Brown at Miami ran 4th team, and I know Barry Jackson on Twitter said he basically expects him to go. I wonder if they're not playing depth chart games there, or if he's really like just can't play in his 4th team.
Why would he bring him then?
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Yeah,
that's what makes me think that they're just playing depth chart games, and that Mac is probably not going to be 4th team.
To teach Jalen the playbook to help him out because he's familiar with it.
The old staff did like Lonergan when he came in. The Holstein kid, I basically they came around to my opinion of him as soon as he got on campus, which was like he can't play. But like Simpson, well, we already talked about him with the transfer stuff.
Yeah, so I would say that your relationship as Kalen DeBoer with Austin Mack is strong enough that you can probably call him into your office and say, "Hey, man, here's the deal. We need to get like a good look at, or we need to, figure out what's going to happen with these other 2 guys. It's going to be Jalen's team. Then it can be yours, right?" So maybe that's what's going on right there. But that definitely, I would say overall, Kalen DeBoer gets to see what's working well and gets to see what needs some help.
Kalen DeBoer said that he told Mike Rodak of Bama 247, Hale, who has a knee, will probably miss the majority, if not all, of the regular season. So I think we can firmly put Alabama in the needs a receiver transfer category. Jeremy Bernard was pretty heavily featured and targeted in that game, but I would expect.
I was going to say, isn't Bernard the recipient of like 7 of Milroe's 9 pass attempts?
Yeah, he's a guy that they trust to be there.
They got you got what? Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law. Like there's some names there. This last little run of Alabama wide receivers. I mean, that hadn't exactly all worked out after they were just, hit for about a 4 to 5 year run. Now they're all ending up at TCU, and
this offensive staff is better than the last offensive staff. I don't know what the whole coaching staff is, but I definitely think Alabama has upgraded on its offensive staff. I think eventually Saban was running out of guys to hire, which is crazy to say, but like it happens to all the greats. Bowden at the end, ran out of guys that he knew he could trust and hire.
Ron Zook. Congrats to Devontae Smith for the contract extension. Speaking of Alabama receivers.
You got it yesterday?
Today.
Yeah. I think that's basically the end of the run. Because ever since then, the last 3 seasons, you've been trying to talk yourself into like glimmers of Ja'Cory Brooks. You've been just sort of looking at individual plays like, oh, maybe if Kobe Prentice does what he did in that one game, all the other games he could be great. And it just hasn't exactly played out. So we'll keep an eye on that. DK, the Gators, DJ Lagway, true freshman early enrollee, physical freak, coming out with highlights,
slanging it,
giving the people what they want. What do you make of this team that again has these shiny objects? I just don't think any of us right now have enough confidence in the full picture and the schedule and being able to see a positive outcome at the end of this.
You can see why he was a highly touted guy coming out. You see the raw potential. I just go back to don't be swayed by a spring game, but I think you should be excited if you're a Gator fan, like about what the future holds, but like, let's not imagine them competing for an SEC championship right now either. But I do think there was clearly, you saw evidence of what it is. And I think it's actually the quarterback room. You mentioned it coming in, like with Graham Mertz being there to be some stability. You can sprinkle in Lagway and get him some reps and let him play some. And you have a vet who's not going to be intimidated, not going to leave anywhere. So I'd expect them to both play this season.
I agree.
If I'm Napier, I'm absolutely playing Lagway, like early and often.
Are you playing
like a NFL coach who's so I'm going to save my job by going with the young guy? Yeah.
No, not starting him, but like I am rotating him in a lot, like Florida did with Tebow when they had Chris Leak. He clearly likes Billy Napier. His quarterback coach likes Billy Napier. Like there's a relationship there. If I'm Napier, like Lagway is part of my job security. If I go 6-6, but my young quarterback has some real flashes, that helps me a lot.
I mean, that is a way this ends, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Everybody's trying to pencil Billy Napier into being fired the same way we did with Neil Brown. He made us all eat our words. And I don't know if.
But Neil Brown didn't have to play the schedule Florida has to play this year.
Fair.
I don't know that Napier is absolutely fired unless they make a move on the AD. Like I don't think they're going to let that AD make another football hire. So to me, like there's an order of operations thing here. They did only have 10 men on the field on special teams. The team that for most of the year led.
But it's the spring. This is when you work those kinks out.
Oh gosh.
Did they lead the nation in penalties last year?
For most of the year, they were leading the nation in both short yardage penalty EPA, so like literally jumping off sides and false starting, and then also special teams penalty EPA.
Just absolute the dumbass penalty.
Great.
Yes, they were great at.
Yeah, just the can you count? Okay, like can you count the number of guys on the field? Can you count to 3 if the snap counts 3? Or Florida's another team that I think needs a big outside receiver. So Wilson is a stud. I think they're going to try to if you watch it, every play has like a boatload of window dressing. They're just trying to find ways to get the ball in his hands. When I saw Billy Napier at the coaching clinic, he was really happy that they had quote unquote real tackles this year. They thought as far as tackle bodies. So we'll see how that works out. I didn't see a lot of improvement from the defense. I know 2 former Florida transfers made ESPN's top 10 pass rusher list. Antoine Powell-Ryland at Virginia Tech, and then also number 1, the guy who transferred to Ole Miss.
Prince the U?
Yes. Yeah. So we'll see how their pass rush is. I do think getting Chimere DK from Wisconsin is a nice get for Mertz because they obviously know each other. But you do need a guy who can win some contested balls on the outside. So I would expect Florida to be pursuing a big X because I don't think Jackson's that guy. But overall, I think if you're a Florida fan, you had to be pretty happy with what you saw overall, right? Kind of.
listen, Jake Winterman does an amazing job for CBS Sports HQ, but he will gladly sign up to count the men on the field for your team, Billy. I know. just let Jake be down there, and his only job is to count people on special teams, and he will do that so well. Okay, he will do it better than whoever on your staff is out there getting it done. Shout out to Jake. I'm sure he's already got a polo that he'll fit right in with the rest of the staffers.
I mean, if he was on that staff, would they notice he was on that staff? Like, did you just throw the polo on, walk in, like act like you've been there before?
Absolutely, he's a fit guy, so I could see him as a college football staffer.
Yeah,
he'd blend right in like Connor Stallions did at Central Michigan. All right, what about LSU? I did not get my eyes on LSU, but I'll let you take lead here. What stood out?
Nuss looked pretty damn good. O-line is very good. LSU definitely needs to go to the portal for some defensive linemen. I anticipate that they will, and will do so soon. Daniels, the Liberty receiver, ran with the second team, which surprised me because he was one of the top receivers in the portal. So that's one to monitor there. Like I assume that's like a learning the offense type thing, and maybe a like play depth chart games type thing.
I mean, I could also see that being a situation where if you think about the kind of offense Brian Kelly runs compared to what he was running at Liberty, you might actually have to, it's not just run this route. There's actually like options you have to make by reading the defense. It's more pro stylish.
I need to go check Go247 on this because I don't know exactly who was playing DB for them. However, if those were the starters, either LSU's DBs still really suck or LSU is having like zero drop off at receiver and it's just going to kill everybody this year. So take your pick. But I know Kelly said that their really only focus in the portal was on D tackle. I would maybe also take a look at some DBs because those guys were not good.
And they just made the change at defensive coordinator too.
Oh, my man Dusty was on the call for that one. He was raving about Nuss. I mean, I think that, and the staff loves him. I think they've loved him for a while.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, they've liked him, which is, it's all kind of culminated in this. They're believing in him, and he thought he was pretty flawless with the execution. He should be familiar with the system. Defense still has a ways to go.
Chris Hilton did have a big drop. That's kind of been an issue for him, like for a long while. So hopefully he can get that fixed.
So LSU's offense is going to light the world on fire. Defense will still be playing Matador. Love it. Coaching changes, players off to the NFL. We can keep our personalities the same. That's good. That's good for me. Ole Miss. I don't know. I usually ride for Lane, but I wasn't really into it.
What happened? What was the spring game?
No football. Like if you wanted football, good luck.
Yeah, it was an elementary school field day. I mean, they might as well have had the parachute with the little like popcorn balls popping up. You had Joey Chestnut eating hot dogs. You had
funnel cakes,
tug of war races
with the sorority girls. Like it was. I mean, it's great for recruiting, I guess. Yeah. Bring the sorority girls out, get everything else. It's one big fun party. Did you read our John Talty's article on that? I guess he was there. And
I haven't read it yet, but it was a larger commentary on spring games in general, right?
By design, to not give anybody, not let them shop your talent. Why would I let them go on, on TV and showcase what they can do? I'm going to save those for closed practices.
Sounds like paranoia. Like the coach who's always scouting everybody else's team and building his through the portal is suddenly paranoid everybody's going to come take his.
Maybe so.
The only problem with that, or go ahead, Danny. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, to me, I didn't have that thought going into the weekend. I thought, this is a Lane thing. Building the brand,
right?
Of we're the fun ones. We're gonna, we're gonna have a ton of fun. We're gonna get our fan base enthusiastic. We've got a lot. Like it's just, to me, it felt more like, let's continue to build my brand and Ole Miss's brand. I did not think that this was some, plot to keep people from seeing his talent.
I don't think it works everywhere. I think you put folks together in the Grove. It's a big party. Like they're looking forward to that. They have crazy excitement about this particular team. You take an average Ole Miss team, which is like fighting to make a bowl, typically in our lifetimes at least, right? and you're not crazy excited about the upcoming season, I don't think people show up to watch this. Like I understand you want to limit people's exposure on national TV, but these kids also just screen record their practice footage. So they have it all and their agents have it all. Like this idea that not doing a spring game is going to keep you from being seen by other schools it's not nothing, but it's definitely not the whole story. I think there's a lot of places that they would try this and it wouldn't work. Like a lot of fans, I think, do come because they want to see a preview of next year's team. They've had 4 months without football, and they would like to see, some football and hopefully feel better about this upcoming year than they did last year. So I don't know this idea is going to take over. Like I bet maybe some people will try it, but I think it'll actually flop at a lot of places.
Matt Rule, Nebraska already did a dunk contest, right? They just didn't do it on the football field during the spring football game.
Like spring game, yeah.
I mean, other teams have done fun things before. This just felt like it was over the top. Where I'm with Chip, it just felt like a little too much over the top. Then it feels like an absolute circus.
It was like a Midnight Madness event for football, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a little bit of 7-on-7, but like
with no pads.
No pads, yeah.
50-yard field, yeah.
Is Ole Miss soft?
Hey, that baby blue. Tom Fernelli's always said that baby blue is going to be impossible to win a championship. You need a harder color.
Mm-hmm.
At least for the game of football.